following is a paid program. The opinions contained within do not necessarily reflect those of the staff, management, or sponsors of News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
The following is a paid program. The opinions voiced in this program are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial advisor, or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities are offered in the U.S. through First Allied Securities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer. Member FINRA SIPC. Securities offered through First Allied Securities Incorporated. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory securities offered through First Allied Advisory Services Incorporated. Tax preparation services are not affiliated with nor endorsed by First Allied Securities. 1160 and 1310 WOBM AM bring you Knowledge is Power, a 1-hour weekly financial talk show providing you and your family with valuable information that will help you in these economic times. Knowledge is Power is brought to you by Island Financial Advisors of Toms River and features Tom Connors, MBA, CFP, and CSA, and president and founder of Island Financial Advisors.
You're invited to call in with your questions, 732-505-1160. Now here's your host, John DeMasi.
Good morning and welcome to the show. Good to have you with us, as always, here on a Monday morning as we start the week off right with a lot of good information for you here on the program. Knowledge is Power. 732-505-1160. That's the number, as you heard the man say, and that is our number here in the studio. If you have questions this morning, Friday afternoon, Tom Connors called me and said, do you mind if I take off on Monday? I said, well, Tom, it's your show, so feel free to have another day off. He'll be back with us next week here on this show. But part of the reason is that Tom wanted to give full attention to our guest. He is going to be part of the show on a regular basis, and we're glad to have him with us, John Kennedy. John is a national recruiter. He is also a licensed mortgage representative. He is with Acre Mortgage, and they are located all over South Jersey. And we've had representatives from their company on the show before. I've actually know this company, and I've done business with them. So we like to bring people on the show that we know and we're comfortable with. And certainly Acre Mortgage is one of those, and John Kennedy is with us. He's going to be talking about reverse mortgages, myths, misconceptions, some ins and outs, do's and don'ts, and all of that good stuff. So we're going to talk to John here on the show. And if you have a question for him, 732-505-1160, 732-505-1160. Certainly, if you have a financial-type question, well, what we can do is we could take it down and send it over to Tom and get an answer for you for next week. But that's what's happening today. And as always, we have a chance for you to win some nice prizes. We have our famous trivia questions. We have a $50 gift certificate to the Village Florist, 49 Main Street, Toms River. Debbie and Kathleen over there, some nice people, do some great arrangements for you. That's our first prize. And also, we have $25 gift certificates, plural, to Mulberry Street, 474 Brick Boulevard, Brick, or Whitesville Road, Toms River. Trivia questions, prizes, good stuff, and John Kennedy. Welcome to the show, John.
Oh, thanks so much, John. It's a pleasure to be here.
We were going to have a band and a fanfare, but we don't pay union scale, so that's what happened. But good to have you with us. Let's start off. Let's talk about reverse mortgages. I have heard, and I've done shows on this before, I've heard there's a lot of misconceptions about reverse mortgages.
And a lot of that's thanks to the media. You know, we see these TV commercials with some of the stars that are on there, and they're talking about this mystical, mythical, kind of magical program, and they don't come right out and tell you how the program works, how you achieve having a mortgage without mortgage payments. And I think that leads to a lot of the concerns that are out there among the public.
Because it sounds too good to be true.
It does.
I mean, when you say, and I've talked to you and I've talked to your owners, and I mean, I know the drill because I've done shows on this and I understand it. But when you first see that, you see Robert Wagner and you see a couple of the other famous people.
Fonzie.
Fonzie, right? And they're saying, no mortgage payment. You go, wait a minute, hold on a second. How do I get out of my mortgage payment? So that kind of leads into that, doesn't it?
It does. And let's dispel the myth. Let's explain exactly in just a minute or so exactly how we achieve a mortgage without mortgage payments. A reverse mortgage is like any other mortgage, just like your regular mortgage, except there's no mortgage payments. How is that achieved? It's very simple. Just like a student loan will defer the repayment of the loan. In the case of a student loan, defers it till the person graduates and until they have a job in most cases. A reverse mortgage defers repayment of the mortgage permanently until the last of the borrowers leaves the home. And this is achieved because we have an age limit. You have to be 62 or older to qualify with the government program. So it's not magic. It's simply a matter of deferring the repayment of the loan until they leave. And when they do leave the home, that's when the loan is repaid. They call that a maturing event. A maturing event, and of course maturing is not referring to the age of the person, but to the loan actually maturing and being paid off. And those maturing events are usually one of three things. The last of the borrowers, frankly, passes away, or the borrowers decide to sell the home, or the borrowers leave the home leave it for 12 months or longer. Usually,
they had to go to a nursing home or something like that.
Exactly.
Right.
Usually long-term illness.
Right.
Correct.
So what actually is happening is, see if I can understand this. So the reverse mortgage works like this. So a couple, and you have to be 62.
62 or older.
62
right.
or older.
Mm-hmm.
Let's assume the couple, they're over 62, and they've got a home, and it's worth $300,000. They owe $100,000. Okay? And they're struggling to pay bills, make the mortgage payment, whatever. The reverse mortgage comes along. Okay?
Yep.
The reverse mortgage pays off the $100,000. Correct?
Correct.
And then let's say they get another $100,000 in equity, and they can use that for whatever.
Well, John, I want to be careful on the numbers, okay? Because some of those numbers they're going to vary depending on the age. The older that the folks are, the more cash that will be available to them with the reverse mortgage program, also known as a HECM, HECM, Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. That's actually what the government calls it. So depending on the age, the older folks will actually get a little bit more money than the younger folks. But, of course, it's all fair because the younger will be expected to live in the house a longer period of time. It's all based on life expectancy tables. So I want to be careful about getting into particular numbers. And that's why we have some reverse mortgage loan specialists, fully licensed, experienced, waiting on the line, toll-free, waiting to take calls. And what we're offering the listeners is they can actually call us. We can go through some numbers with them. We'll customize it without cost or obligation.
Okay.
I'd be happy to do that.
Let me give out this number. And again, John is here for the first time, and he will be on the show with us several times throughout the next couple of months. But if you have a question, I will get back to my scenario, though, to try to understand it.
Absolutely.
I try to understand it in my own way. So, but here's the toll-free number, 888-355-8555. Let me give that to you again, 888-355-8555. 8555. That's the toll-free number. Loan officer standing by right now that can answer any of your questions about a reverse mortgage. But back to my scenario. So this couple, this is in theory.
Right.
They owe $100,000, so the reverse mortgage pays that off. Correct?
And I can tell you with those numbers, yes, there would be enough money to pay off
money,
the mortgage.
whatever the dollar amount is,
right.
They would have some money available after the mortgage is paid off so that they could use it for whatever, correct?
Well, yes, that's true. What happens often is it depends on the equity position of the borrowers. So in some cases, we have money to pay off the existing mortgage, which is great because then they don't have the burden of a mortgage payment.
Right.
Taxes and insurance still have to be paid by the homeowner,
right?
Because that's the way all mortgages work, right? Regular mortgage, you're still going to pay taxes and insurance regardless of your mortgage payment. And in many cases, even most cases, there's cash left over to pay other bills, those kind of things. Okay.
So it could be a situation where they don't have to pay the mortgage anymore, right?
And that could be the sole benefit.
Right.
It could be just we get rid of the existing mortgage.
Maybe they got credit card bills. They could use the extra money to pay that off, whatever the scenario.
Rainy day money.
Exactly. So now they're pretty much peace of mind. They don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Correct? That's kind of the beauty of this program?
That's exactly it. It's called and the government created this program. Congress created this program to help seniors. There's a feeling across the country that really the government has set up a lot of people for failure in their later years. And I really think that this is an answer. It doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. It helps seniors help themselves. The banks obviously are getting a loan. It's a win-win for everyone across the board. And they've put in safeguards in the program to protect seniors, which we can talk about, which you won't find these safeguards in any other mortgage product.
And so the scenario here that we're creating is that the senior who takes out the reverse mortgage doesn't have to worry about it, and that money gets paid back when, as you said, either the last person to live there passes away, or they sell the home, and let's say they want to move to Florida. If it's in New Jersey, they want to move to Florida. They sell the home, everything's paid off, they move to Florida, they're finished. Or they go into an assisted living facility, or a medical situation happens
for more than 12 months.
For more than 12 months,
right.
Then it has to be sold. Right. So
right, that's correct.
Right. So really, their worries are pretty much finished if they're having some financial issues when the reverse mortgage comes into play. Is that a safe thing to say?
I believe it is. I mean, is a reverse mortgage right for everybody? No, it's not. And we can talk about those who probably should not get one. But that is a very limited number of people. For most folks, it works beautifully. I've done hundreds of these loans myself. I've written them. I've overseen an organization, Acre, that's done like over 1,000 of them over the years. And it works extremely well. I've had no complaints from any client. I've only heard good things, and we do hear from our clients after they close on the loan, heard it from them over the years, and we've had very, very happy clients.
And many years ago, how I found you guys is my mother did a reverse mortgage through you.
Well,
so
thank you.
that's how I come to find you to do this radio program. So it's always nice to have somebody on the air that you know, and you know the company, which is what we try to do here on the program.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. And I'd like to mention that Acre Mortgage has been in business for over 15 years. We're owned by two of the nicest guys in the business with an open door policy. Customers can talk to them anytime. We have gotten through the mortgage crisis extremely well. Can't say that about many other companies out there in the industry. And we're a really good shop to do business with. And we have locations all over New Jersey. We're headquartered in Marlton, right on Main Street.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you could come, you go to people, right? I mean, you could go to somebody.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, this product in particular really needs a high level of customer service. So we'll actually go out to the client's home. There's no cost or obligation. We'll sit down with them and the family members that are there with them, and we'll go through all the figures, explain the program in detail, and make sure it really does fit their needs.
If you've just tuned in, the program is Knowledge is Power. You'll find us here every Monday, 9 till 10 a.m. right here on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM, 1160 and 1310. I'm your host, John DeMasi. Tom Connor's normally here, but Tom's got the day off. Back with us next week here on Knowledge is Power. John Kennedy is with us. He is our special guest. He is a national recruiter, and we're discussing reverse mortgages. His company is Acre Mortgage, and we're talking about some of the basics of it. We're going to talk about some other things, myths, misconceptions. You think you have a question for John? You've thought about a reverse mortgage, or maybe it's for your neighbor or your cousin or your friend or your brother-in-law, whatever the case happens to be. If you want to give us a call here in the studio, 732-505-1160. That is our number here in the studio, 732-505-1160. What we do here on the show, John, so you'll know, is we have trivia questions every week here on the program.
Okay.
And we have trivia questions today. We have prizes. $50 gift certificate to the Village Florist, 49 Main Street in Toms River. And as always, we ask that you come to the table with a financial type question for John. And if it's not specifically about reverse mortgages, it could be about mortgages, because you're licensed for, you could talk about any kind of mortgage. Right?
Absolutely. And
right.
we do have a bank of loan officers ready to take calls if somebody needs immediate help.
I'm saying calls here on the air.
But absolutely, call us on the radio.
The rule is they have to call here and ask a question of you before they're eligible to answer the trivia question.
By all means.
And we thought, being that John Kennedy is here, you knew this was going to go this way, right?
That's all right.
Right.
Bring it on.
John Kennedy, and when I first met him, I said, do you ever get, he says, every time people talk to me. We thought we would have some John F. Kennedy trivia questions, President Kennedy, of course. And here is our first question. John F. Kennedy was the youngest man to be elected president, although he was not the youngest president to serve in office. What are we talking about here? Well, think about it. He was the youngest man to be elected president, although he was not the youngest president to serve in office. Who was the actual youngest president to serve? Think about it. If you know your history, it's kind of a little twist there, but this is the case. 732-505-1160. That is our number, 732-505-1160. And our other question, in what year did John F. Kennedy graduate from Harvard? Like, wow. I said that, Harvard? In what year did John F. Kennedy graduate from Harvard? That is the other question. You could take your shot at either one.
Okay.
Village Florist, $50 gift certificate or $25 gift certificate to Mulberry Street. 732-505-1160 with John Kennedy. I'm your host, John DeMasi. Coming back, more Knowledge is Power after these words.
Are rising medical bills threatening your fixed income? Are you constantly worried whether your assets are protected against the threat of creditors and taxes? You and your family worked hard over the years. Part of building that nest egg is making sure that you have the proper legal advice and documentation. That's why you need the services of an elder law attorney. Rodney and Roderick Alberto of the Alberto Brothers Law Firm are elder law attorneys who can help you navigate a path to protecting your family and your assets.
Hi, I am elder law attorney Rodney Alberto. The Alberto Brothers Law Firm can help you with important legalities such as wills, powers of attorney, nursing home and Medicaid planning, trust preparation, and more. No one plans to fail. They just fail to plan. Mostly, legal and financial planning is always better late rather than never. But don't let it be too late for you and your family.
To contact the elder law firm of the Alberto Brothers, call 732-200-0779. That's 732-200-0779. Or visit the website elderlawbrothers.com.
What do these life events all have in common? A serious illness, the birth of a child or grandchild, divorce, buying a home, the loss of a loved one, and retirement. They all can have a significant impact on your taxes, investments, and estate. How much of an impact depends on how prepared you are. You'll experience an aha moment and peace of mind after talking to Island Financial Advisors Tax and Financial Planning of Toms River. Instead of checking in once a year, you'll meet with IFA 4 times a year to make sure every single life event has the least possible effect on your taxes and investments. By planning year-round, you can keep more money in your pocket and secure a stable financial future. Island Financial Advisors Tax and Financial Planning, 429 Hooper Avenue in Toms River. To schedule a free consultation, call 732-505-9444. You'll feel better after talking to IFA. Securities offered through First Allied Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory securities offered through First Allied Advisory Services, Inc.
Now, back to Knowledge is Power on 1160 and 1310 WOBM AM. Here's Tom Connors and John DeMasi.
As we mentioned earlier, Tom has the day off. If you want to talk to him during the week, I'm assuming that he will come in tomorrow. So he better, okay? 732-505-9444. That is the number. Tom Connors, Island Financial Advisors, 429 Hooper Avenue, Toms River, 732-505-9444. Tom's credentials, MBA, CFP, CSA. You also can email him, tconnors@islandfinancialadvisors.com, tconnors@islandfinancialadvisors.com. Before we get back into the show, I did promise Linda over at Tom's office that I would mention this. Exit 82, a Toms River Theater company. They've been around for many, many years. They do put on some great shows. Their next show is coming up, Legally Blonde, the musical, August 1st through the 10th. At Ocean County College, tickets just $20 and $15. Very, very inexpensive. Tickets are now on sale. You can call 732-255-0500, 732-255-0500, or go online. It's www.exit82theater.com. Good show coming up August 1st through the 10th. Legally Blonde, the musical, courtesy of Exit 82, a Toms River Theater company. This is Knowledge is Power. You'll find us here Mondays, 9 till 10 a.m. here on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM, 1160 and 1310. John Kennedy is our guest. John is a national recruiter. He's a reverse mortgage specialist with Acre Mortgage, and that's what we're talking about today as Tom Connors has the day off. And it looks like we got a full line of callers, Lauren. Who's up first? Okay, let's talk to Marcel. Hi, Marcel. Welcome to Knowledge is Power.
How are you?
Hi, how you doing?
I want to thank you for explaining this over the air to people because, like you said, the television really doesn't tell the whole story. So I just want to thank you for that you're letting people know the truth about it. The other thing is that isn't that expensive, that the closing, the mortgage, more so than an ordinary mortgage?
Well, Marcel, thanks for calling in. And a reverse mortgage is really competitive in cost with any other mortgage. If you sit down with any mortgage product and you look at the cost sheet or the good faith estimate, you're going to find that, you have title charges, you have origination fees and other things like that. And it does add up, whether it's a forward loan, a traditional loan, or it's a reverse. I would point out that when it comes to any type of mortgage, it's especially in a refinance scenario, and we are talking about refinance at this moment, that those costs are generally rolled into the loan. And because the reverse mortgage is not paid until that maturing event occurs, which is the last of the borrowers passing away, or you decide to sell the property, or you leave the home for 12 months or longer, because those costs are deferred, a lot of folks are actually never going to realize those costs in real terms, having to pay it themselves. But we will provide you with a complete quote so you know exactly what the costs are. And those costs will vary from one loan to the next based on the value of the property, et cetera.
Let me ask you one more question. And the rate of the mortgage percentage-wise is the variable rate or fixed rate or the going rate, or how's that work?
Well, that's a great question because it's gotten a little bit more complicated over the last year as rules have changed with the government. We have fixed rates and we have adjustable rates on the reverse mortgage, and it depends on the scenario of the senior as to which of the programs is going to be best for them. Now, we will provide a complete comparison between the different programs, and we can advise accordingly based on the needs of the senior. So I'll give you an example. Some seniors are going to want to go with the adjustable because there might be such a level of cash available that the government now makes you wait actually a full year before you get all the money on certain scenarios. Other scenarios, there aren't those waiting periods. And again, it depends on the equity position. So we're getting a little technical, but let's just say you have the option of going either with a fixed rate or an adjustable rate, and what will be best for you or for the client in particular will be very apparent once they see the comparison sheet, which is the first stop on every review of a reverse mortgage with a client.
I have one more question, if you don't mind. I got married late, and my my property is been in my name all my life. Now, I just got married a few years ago. Does my wife have to be on the mortgage, or the house I own myself? It's very clear.
Does your wife
have to be on the?
Is your wife
on the mortgage?
I assume both.
No, my wife. No, my wife isn't 62.
Okay. Well, there's a new rule from the government, and that is that when married, both people have to be on the loan, and if one is not 62, we're going to have to wait for that point in time before we'll be able to put the loan together, unfortunately. Again, new rule from the federal government.
Okay, so my wife has to be 62 in order for me to get this mortgage.
Right. Now, there's other factors, for qualifying, but this is a very easy program to qualify for. As long as you have the equity in the house and you're at least 62, then in most cases you're going to qualify.
All right.
Okay, Marcel.
Thank you.
You want to take a shot at one of our questions?
Yeah, I would say Kennedy graduated Harvard in 39.
Oh. Can't say anymore, but it's incorrect. Incorrect.
I'm sorry, Marcel.
Thanks a lot, Marcel.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, who's up next, Lauren? Good morning, Susan. Welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Yes, good morning. When you do a reverse mortgage, does the person that's still living in the house have to pay the taxes, the yearly taxes?
The answer is yes. When you do a mortgage of any kind, forward or reverse, the taxes and the insurance have to be paid by the homeowner. As with any other mortgage, you own the property. So, yes, that is required. Hopefully, and I've seen this on many occasions, when someone does a reverse mortgage, there's enough cash at the end so that they can put that away for future tax and insurance payments to make life a little bit easier. But everyone's scenario is going to be a little different.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Susan, you want to take a shot at one of the questions?
Sure.
Which one?
Anyone. Just pick everyone.
Okay. John F. Kennedy was the youngest man to be elected president, although he was not the youngest president to serve in office. Who was the actual youngest president to serve?
That's a good one.
Can we do a hint? Like it was somebody.
We don't give hints yet,
no,
John. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay, the buzzer's about to go off, Susan.
I'll say Abraham Lincoln.
Incorrect. But nice try. Thanks a lot for the call. Thanks a lot. All right, Lauren, who's next? Hello, Gene. Welcome to Knowledge is Power. Hi, Gene.
Good morning, gentlemen. I have a question regarding the people that are not good to take out a reverse mortgage, that shouldn't take out a reverse mortgage.
Well, that's a great question, and there's two basic types of clients that probably shouldn't get a reverse mortgage. Everyone's different, and some people would disagree, and it would be the decision on the part of the client. But generally speaking, the two that should not get a reverse mortgage, the two scenarios are those that are planning on selling their home in the near future. And I wouldn't recommend a mortgage of any kind for somebody that's planning on moving in the near future, because you have those costs, and those costs are going to be realized a little bit too soon to really make it worthwhile. So if someone's looking to sell their home in 6 months or a year, it would be unusual where we would recommend a reverse mortgage. And then the other scenario, and I don't think I've ever run across this, John, but the other would be somebody who just really doesn't need the money. They've got so much money available. Everything's going great. They don't need to invest in anything. Life is a piece of cake. We're not going to recommend a loan for folks in that position.
Well, if you find a female, John, I'm single. I'm available.
You might have better luck on the air like this. Yeah, send that message out.
All right, Gene, does that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, you want to take a shot at one of our questions, Gene?
The youngest president to serve, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt.
I think you're absolutely right, Gene.
Hey, congratulations.
Very good. Well, you're a veteran of our show, so you kind of know where we think here, Gene. So congratulations. You've got the $50 gift certificate to the Village Florist, 49 Main Street, Toms River. Gene, we will be in touch with you.
Could I take the Mulberry Street?
Sure you can. Absolutely. Okay. Well, let's make sure Lauren marks that down on the sheet so we send you the right one. Yeah, we'll give you the $25 gift certificate to Mulberry Street. We're going to put you on hold. Lauren will come on, and she'll take your information, and we will be in touch by mail to tell you how you can claim your prize, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Gene.
Thanks,
Appreciate it. 732-505-1160. That's our number here. Knowledge is Power is the program. Mondays, 9 till 10 a.m. after Bob and Marianne in the morning, right here on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM, 1160 and 1310. John Kennedy, our special guest today. John is a national recruiter, reverse mortgage specialist with Acre Mortgage. They have offices all over South Jersey. We are discussing reverse mortgages, myths, misconceptions, and John's going to give us after the break a little bit of the history, which is going to lead into some of these myths.
I'd be happy to.
Which Absolutely. I was telling you before the show, you didn't believe that story about a friend of mine, a client of mine, who says something about they're taking money away from those older people. This is the stuff that was out there,
I believed you, John.
and I'm sure you've heard it 100 times.
I
right?
have. I've heard it all.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. And again, 732-505-1160, our number. Our other trivia question out there still. We're looking for the answer. In what year did John F. Kennedy graduate from Harvard? In what year did John F. Kennedy graduate from Harvard? And we'll throw in another question. See, we have plenty of questions here on the show.
Love it.
And you're going to learn. Did you know the Teddy Roosevelt answer?
I didn't.
Okay. Your name is John Kennedy. You're supposed to know all this stuff.
You're right. But I learned something new every day.
That's right. Okay. So. John F. Kennedy wrote 2 books. For one of those books, he won a Pulitzer Prize. Can you name the 2 books that he wrote? The Pulitzer Prize one, it's pretty obvious.
They have to name both, right?
They have to name both. Yes, they do.
Got it.
Okay. Now, you knew that one. I know you did.
I do. Yep.
732-505-1160 with John Kennedy from Acre Mortgage. I'm your host, John DeMasi. More Knowledge is Power after these words.
It's a proven fact. Not having a mortgage payment is fun. Acre Mortgage has senior loan specialists standing by to do just that. Eliminate your mortgage payments forever. Simply call them for more information. 1-888-355-8555. It's not magic, it's simple. Just like a student loan defers repayment, so too does their reverse mortgage program. Except the deferment of the mortgage payment is forever, until the last of the borrowers leaves the home permanently. That is why over 100,000 people have already enrolled in this government-backed reverse mortgage program. You have options, but you can only know those options by speaking with a senior loan specialist at Acre Mortgage right now. They're waiting for your call. Call Acre Mortgage, 1-888-355-8555, 1-888-355-8555. There is no cost or obligation for this free information. Call the reverse mortgage specialist now at Acre Mortgage, 1-888-355-8555. That's the number for the senior loan specialist at Acre Mortgage.
Are rising medical bills threatening your fixed income? Are you constantly worried whether your assets are protected against the threat of creditors and taxes? You and your family worked hard over the years. Part of building that nest egg is making sure that you have the proper legal advice and documentation. That's why you need the services of an elder law attorney. Rodney and Roderick Alberto of the Alberto Brothers Law Firm are elder law attorneys who can help you navigate a path to protecting your family and your assets.
Hi, I am elder law attorney Rodney Alberto. The Alberto Brothers Law Firm can help you with important legalities such as wills, powers of attorney, nursing home and Medicaid planning, trust preparation, and more. No one plans to fail. They just fail to plan. Mostly, legal and financial planning is always better late rather than never. But don't let it be too late for you and your family.
To contact the elder law firm of the Alberto Brothers, call 732-200-0779. That's 732-200-0779. Or visit the website elderlawbrothers.com.
Now, back to Knowledge is Power on 1160 and 1310 WOBM AM. Here's Tom Connors and John DeMasi.
Again, a reminder, Tom Connors has the day off, but if you would like to reach him during the week, 732-505-9444. That is his number, 732-505-9444. Tom Connors, owner, founder of Island Financial Advisors, 429 Hooper Avenue, Toms River. MBA, CFP, and CSA are his credentials. Feel free to give him a call. Remember, there's no cost or obligation for the initial consultation, 732-505-9444. This is Knowledge is Power. You'll find us here every Monday, 9 till 10 a.m. right here on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM, 1160 and 1310. John Kennedy, our special guest. John is part of our team now. He will be a recurring guest. He'll be on other shows here with us. We're happy to have him with us to provide some valuable information regarding reverse mortgages. He is a national recruiter and a loan officer with Acre Mortgage, all located all over South Jersey, headquartered in Marlton. And also, you wanted to mention, John, your license, right?
Yes, I do. Just for compliance, we are licensed by the New Jersey Department of Banking and Insurance. Our NMLS license number is 13988.
Okay, we want to let you know that the lines are open if you have questions for John regarding reverse mortgages. Some good questions so far. 732-505-1160 is our number here in the studio. And again, our trivia questions for either a $50 gift certificate to Village Florist or a $25 gift certificate to Mulberry Street. Question 1, in what year did John F. Kennedy graduate from Harvard? We had a guess earlier, and it was oh so close, but wasn't correct. In what year did John F. Kennedy graduate from Harvard? And the other question, John F. Kennedy wrote 2 books. For one of those, he won a Pulitzer Prize. Name the 2 books that he wrote. Pretty easy questions. 732-505-1160. You were talking, John, about the history of reverse mortgages, which is going to kind of lead into why people got all these misconceptions about them. So the history, it started, what, about 25 years ago, maybe? More?
Yeah, it was actually over 25 years ago that reverse mortgages first hit the scenes, and when they did, they were actually private banking products. The current product is through the FHA. It's a government loan program. Congress inserted all kinds of safeguards and practices to protect seniors in getting those loans. But let's go back in history, 25-plus years ago, and they were private banking products, and they weren't open-ended products the way they are now. So now, as we've mentioned a few times already, the product, it's paid off, the loan is paid off when a maturing event occurs. We talked about that. Back in the day, it actually had a term to it. So, folks would live in their home for a certain period of time, and then a note would become due and payable. So that's been fixed over the last number of years by Congress. Originally, folks did lose their homes doing these programs because the private product was, some would say it was, what's the right way? Predatory.
I was just going to say predatory sounds like it.
Yeah, it was. A lot of people believed that it was predatory, and I wouldn't argue that point. But the new product has all kinds of safeguards, such as whenever someone does a reverse mortgage, they'll have to speak with a government-approved counselor, and they will have to go through a counseling session, and pretty much that counselor is going to cover everything that the loan officer, the mortgage loan originator, would cover, just to make sure that things aren't going too fast, that the seniors understand exactly what they're getting into and how the program works. So that's one safeguard. Another safeguard is that the mortgage insurance premium that's in every single FHA loan, forward or reverse, traditional or HECM, home equity conversion mortgage, another name for reverse, Every loan every one of those FHA loans has MIP, mortgage insurance premium, but the mortgage insurance premium on a reverse mortgage has the feature of covering any losses on the loan when the maturing event occurs. So when the time comes, let's say both, the borrowers pass away and the loan becomes due and payable, and there's a loss involved in that loan. Let's say that the house is worth less than what's owed on it. If that scenario were to occur, the mortgage insurance will cover that cost 100%, leaving no bill behind for the heirs. So this is the only mortgage product that has this protection.
Well, and it's interesting, John, that you mentioned that, because with the real estate market being what it is today, if someone got a reverse mortgage, let's say 7 years ago, and then, of course, in 2008, everything went down, and in many cases they haven't come back up to where they were. So this is a good feature because the family doesn't want to get stuck. If the parents pass away, right, you don't want to get stuck for a bill for $100,000, right?
Exactly.
So that's why this is in there, right?
That's exactly why it's in there. And then the opposite side of that, if money's made, which is the more common scenario, where money's made, the bank and the government never share in the profits from the sale of the property. It goes either to the seniors that are selling their home or to their heirs. Right. So if the money is made on the sale of the property, that money goes to the heirs or to the folks selling the property. And if there's a loss involved, it's covered by the mortgage insurance premium. And again, this is a safeguard. Congress doesn't do everything right, and I'm being kind, but they did this very well. They really did think through the safeguards on the program.
Okay, let's go to the phones. Lauren, who's waiting to talk to us? Hi, Joe. Welcome to Knowledge is Power.
Thank you. Question about mortgages in general. I thought that was a very interesting topic, based on if a person's house is worth more and they did a reverse mortgage upon their demise, both husband and wife, assuming, okay,
right?
And let's say there's $100,000 profit, that will go to the heirs.
Absolutely. It works just like any other mortgage. There's a payoff on the loan that has to be satisfied, but if there's not enough equity to satisfy that, then what happens with the reverse mortgage, the mortgage insurance will come in and cover that loss, that shortfall. But think of it on the traditional...
Wouldn't it be smart, though, not to cut you off,
no.
But wouldn't it be smart to get a life insurance policy to cover the debt on the house, so this way it goes to the heirs free and clear?
Well, there's many clients that do purchase life insurance. Of course, that's not something we do, and we're not really allowed to recommend that. But yes, there are many seniors that will take the funds from the reverse mortgage and do a variety of things, including that. But that would be a personal decision on their part.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I understand. Yeah. That's not your field.
Right.
And another question for you, real quickly, with regard to loan modifications. How is that prevailing?
Well, a loan modification, of course, the definition is the bank changes the terms of the loan so that the client can meet the payments, right? That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Right.
But in the case of reverse mortgage, there are no payments, so it would be a hard case to be made with the bank that you needed some sort of relief from the payment. So that's not going to work in any scenario that I can imagine.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So you're better off doing the modification first if that was the case, and then from that point going forward, if there was equity, then you may be suitable for a reverse mortgage if you were 62 years old.
Well, let's start at the beginning. If a client owns a home and is having trouble with the payments and they're 62 or older and are in an equity position, then the reverse mortgage would be the solution to the problem, right? You get rid of the payment altogether, preferably. Now, if the reverse mortgage isn't the solution because there's not enough equity and the numbers just don't work, then in that particular case, you might go to the fallback position of a modification. But they can be problematic, qualifying for and all that. But that's on a case-by-case basis you'd have to take up with your lender directly.
Okay, Joe?
Sounds very, very good. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day. Great
Thanks
show.
a lot for the call. Appreciate
Question?
it. No. Oh, no, he doesn't get a question. No. He hung up.
Sorry, Joe.
No problem.
I was looking out after you, Joe.
No problem. You're looking out for my interest. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe.
732-505-1160. That is the number here. Knowledge is Power is the program. Mondays 9 till 10 a.m. here on News Talk Radio, WOBM, AM 1160 and 1310. John Kennedy is our guest. John is a national recruiter, reverse mortgage specialist with Acre Mortgage, and he has operators standing by right now. If you have a question and you think this is something you want to do and you want to move forward, certainly they'll be happy to answer your questions directly Operators are standing by right now, and we understand that John likes them to work. So call them, right?
Well, absolutely. And let me explain what will happen when you call. When you call, we'll get a few pieces of information. We don't need anything personal. Just date of birth of the potential applicants, address, approximately what you owe on the house, what the house is worth. And if you don't know all those answers, we can still work with you. We have systems in place where we can look up values and things like that. And we will be happy to provide you with a quote right by phone. A very accurate quote on what we can put together for you. And,
okay.
Yep. So
all right. Let me give you the number: 888-355-8555. 888-355-8555. Again, loan officer standing by. Acre Mortgage, toll free. Give them a call, and you can find out more. Certainly in a matter of a few minutes, right, John?
Oh, it's very fast.
Yeah. Okay. 888-355-8555. Back to what we were talking about with regards to myths. I was telling you before the show. Client of mine, also a friend who is in the medical field, has 2 PhDs. So, fairly intelligent. You follow along here?
Absolutely.
And I was telling her one time, I said, interesting, I'm doing these programs on reverse mortgages. She said, yeah, it's a shame what they do to those old people taking their house. I said, who told you that? She said, well, I heard that. Well, where did you hear it? I don't know, I just heard it. So... But let's think about this. Okay, you're the expert here, but I know enough to kind of know this.
Right.
When you buy a home and it's a forward mortgage, if you're 30 years old and you buy a home, you have a 30-year mortgage, the bank holds that mortgage, correct? You own the home, but you're paying the bank for that loan, correct?
Absolutely.
Well, in this case, the bank is not asking you for the money now, but it's a mortgage, right? You still own the home. It's still in your name, right?
Absolutely.
So... you see the disconnect here?
Well, of course I see the disconnect perfectly, and where this disconnect is coming from is really in the mindset of a homeowner and in the stage of life they're at. When you're in your 20s and in your 30s and even in your 40s, you're building something for the future. Once you get into your 60s, generally you're in your last home. You want to be there forever. That's typically what I hear. So you have to just take into consideration where you're at in life, what you're trying to achieve. What is everyone paying a mortgage for? Everyone who pays a mortgage payment is trying to get to the point where they don't have a mortgage payment any longer. Am I right?
Or build enough equity when they sell it, they walk away with something.
Right, but the end result is, I think if you interviewed most folks, they'd say, I want to get to the point where I'm living in my house and I don't have a mortgage payment any longer. But the fact is, there are people who are in their 60s, 70s, even older, that have 30-year mortgages ahead of them, okay? So this actually is a fast-forward button to get rid of that mortgage payment. You still retain ownership of the house. You don't have a mortgage payment, the burden of that. Yes, you have to pay taxes and insurance because you still own the property. So instead of a 60 or 70-year-old looking at 15, 20, 30 years of mortgage in front of them, mortgage payments in front of them, they can potentially get rid of that burden, that mortgage payment. And of course, a lot of seniors are having a harder time with making income and all. This can really help add to the bottom line, really help the finances.
We have more to talk about here on the show. Knowledge is power. As I said, Mondays we are here, 9 till 10 a.m. here on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Tom Connor's normally here. He's got the day off, back with us next week here on the show. John Kennedy is our guest. John is a national recruiter, reverse mortgage specialist with Acre Mortgage, and we have more to talk about here on the show. If you have questions for John, 732-505-1160. That is our number here in the studio, 732-505-1160. And we are still looking for the answer to a couple of our trivia questions. In what year did John F. Kennedy graduate from Harvard? I thought that was fairly easy. And the other one, which I also think is easy, John F. Kennedy wrote 2 books. For one of those books, he won a Pulitzer Prize. Name the 2 books that he wrote. 732-505-1160. With John Kennedy, I'm your host, John DeMasi. Coming back, more Knowledge is Power after these words.
What do these life events all have in common? A serious illness, the birth of a child or grandchild, divorce, buying a home, the loss of a loved one, and retirement? They all can have a significant impact on your taxes, investments, and estate. How much of an impact depends on how prepared you are. You'll experience an aha moment and peace of mind after talking to Island Financial Advisors Tax and Financial Planning of Toms River. Instead of checking in once a year, you'll meet with IFA 4 times a year to make sure every single life event has the least possible effect on your taxes and investments. By planning year-round, you can keep more money in your pocket and secure a stable financial future. Island Financial Advisors Tax and Financial Planning, 429 Hooper Avenue in Toms River. To schedule a free consultation, call 732-505-9444. You'll feel better after talking to IFA. Securities offered through First Allied Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory securities offered through First Allied Advisory Services, Inc.
Just when you thought there was every possible Italian specialty food product in one place, think again, because now there's more. Mulberry Street proudly announces something new and exciting. It's authentic Old World olive oil direct from Italy, and it's not just any olive oil. It's extra virgin olive oil as well as flavored olive oil, including basil-infused, garlic-infused, and more. From 3 of the finest regions in Italy, Tuscany, Umbria, and Latina. Stop into Mulberry Street and have a taste while the staff pours this fine Old World olive oil into your very own bottle. Plus, Mulberry Street has 4-year and 18-year balsamic vinegars. Mulberry Street, 474 Brick Boulevard, Brick, where they specialize in all types of Italian specialty foods. Don't forget the finest Italian specialties and butcher featuring 21-day aged certified Angus beef that you'll find anywhere. Call 732-477-4520 or visit them at mulberrystreet.net. Custom barbecues and catering for any and all special occasions. Mulberry Street is the place. Email them catering@mulberrystreet.net. See you soon at Mulberry Street.
Now, back to Knowledge is Power on 1160 and 1310 WOBM AM. Here's Tom Connors and John DeMasi.
A couple of minutes left of the show. If you want to talk to Tom Connors during the week, 732-505-9444. That's his number, 732-505-9444. Tom, of course, owner and founder of Island Financial Advisors, 429 Hooper Avenue in Toms River. Couple of minutes left of the show, 732-505-1160. John Kennedy, our guest here on the show. We're happy to have him with us, and it's always nice to have another person to come in and
I love being here.
Give us some advice and help us out with this reverse mortgage process. Tell me this, John, with regards to the reverse mortgage, you pay off your existing mortgage, and then if there is some equity, can you use that money to purchase another home?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use the money for whatever you
for whatever you want.
Anything.
Right. You want to take a trip around the world, you can use it for that.
Absolutely.
But the point is, what I've heard, tell me if this is correct. I've heard a lot of seniors, particularly in this area, take the reverse mortgage, and then whatever money that is, if it's cash, they pay cash for the home in Florida. Is that kind of what they would do, or a scenario that's correct?
Absolutely. We've had that happen a number of times. Just make the point, though, that the reverse mortgage has to be on the primary residence, and when they buy that other home, it's got to be the second home. It's got to be an investment property. It can't be their new primary, because that's an issue. That would create the repayment on the original home. So when we take an application and we're talking with a senior, our loan officers are going to be very careful to make sure that we're doing a loan on the primary residence and that they plan on keeping that home as their primary well into the future.
So they take that money and they purchase the second home.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then eventually the second home becomes the primary, but when they
No. The second home doesn't become the primary. It stays the second home.
It stays the same, but they can sell the first home, correct?
Well, they can. Oh, yeah, sure they could.
They could sell down the line, they could sell the first home.
Of course, they can sell it anytime they want. The one thing you wouldn't want to happen is that the second home down in Florida becomes the primary, where they do their voting, their taxes, their license and all, and then the primary residence, now the note's going to be called because it's no longer the primary.
Right, and so you tell them all this, right?
Absolutely.
Right. That's why your loan officers ask these questions right up front.
Absolutely.
What do you plan to do with this, or what's your scenario, that kind of thing.
But your question brings up a great point, and that is we're doing more of this, and I'm surprised we have a line around the block. We should have a line around the block. You can buy a house with a reverse mortgage. So if the listeners are out there thinking about buying a new home, and maybe they're thinking about paying cash, a lot of seniors pay cash for their homes. This is a way to greatly reduce the cash needed to buy their next primary residence. Whether it's in Florida or in any of the states where we're licensed up and down the East Coast, New Jersey, we can help them with that, and we can give them a quote. It's very easy to qualify. no income and no credit requirements at this time. I'm expecting that to change. The government's given us hints that they're going to start having credit and income requirements, but right now, qualifying is very, very simple.
Yeah, that's the really interesting thing about this, because there is no credit check. I wanted to bring that out. I'm glad you did. Sure. There's no credit check for a reverse mortgage.
There's no qualifying for credit. Now, we're going to look at the credit because we're required to, but nobody's qualifying based on credit for a reverse mortgage. And that may sound funny to some of our listeners because they've heard of loans in the past having been a problem without income or credit. But with a reverse mortgage, there's no payments. And because there's no payments, there's no need to really know what the credit is. There is no need to qualify on credit, no need for income requirements because, again, there's no payments to be made. Now,
so no credit, no payments, really the only requirement, primary residence, and both of you, if it's husband and wife, have to be 62.
And of course, have enough equity to qualify for the program. The reverse mortgage is not going to loan you 100% of the value of the house. The government's going to make sure you have a cushion in there for protection.
And the mortgage insurance is in there in case down the line you pass away and the house is not worth what you owe. There's no issue with that because the insurance is going to cover that.
Just keep in mind that mortgage insurance premium is not optional. It's required by the federal government. It all gets paid to them. There's no middleman in there. And yes, it does do all those things and more.
Okay, loan officers are standing by right now at Acre Mortgage, 888-355-8555, 888-355-8555. Ask them any question you like. And John Kennedy, thank you for spending some time with us this morning here on the show. Enjoyed it.
Me too. Thanks so much.
You're coming back next month, okay?
Can't wait.
Okay. 888-355-8555 is the number. Again, loan officer standing by right now at Acre Mortgage if you have a question about anything pertaining to reverse mortgages. And with that, we are going to put the wraps on another edition of Knowledge is Power. Thanks to John Kennedy, for everyone at Island Financial Advisors, for Tom Connors and his staff. Don't forget, if you want to talk to Tom during the week, 732-505-9444 is the number. For Tom Connors and everyone there, for John Kennedy and everyone at Acre Mortgage, I'm your host, John DeMasi. Thank you for listening. Have a great week. Talk to you next Monday, 9 a.m. Knowledge is Power right here on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM.
Thank you for listening to Knowledge is Power. Join us again next week right here on 1160 and 1310 WOBM AM. The preceding has been a paid program. The opinions voiced in this program are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial advisor, or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities are offered in the U.S. through First Allied Securities Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer. Member FINRA SIPC. Securities offered through